Okay, we're gonna.
You're dancing down the hall.
Will that stay that way? Jan, don't touch anything. If it stays that way, we're good. If it stops again in my eyes, we'll stop. Because I'm going to try to do something on the internet to show you in a couple of minutes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't normally get to do these messages. I get to do one every so often, just enough so people don't get too bored. So, because you never know what I'm going to say or do. The interesting thing today is I don't have a costume or any kind of a goofy hat on or anything like that, so I'm not sure how to act. So, but this is Healing Sunday, and we're going to talk about something that is certainly controversial. This is not going to be a political forum, so that's not anything that we're going to even address, touch upon, or anything. But what we're going to talk about is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. That's also known as Obamacare to some people. But the reason we feel that this is important is not only so everyone can understand a little bit more about what's going on, because there's so much misunderstanding out here. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about that, and then Jan's going to continue on with the healing service and actually get some of the spirituality over what I'm not going to be doing. So the act was passed 1,291 days ago. And I've been following it very closely because, of course, that's one of the things I do for a living. And it's been extremely controversial. The original bill was about 1,800 pages, 1,800 to 2,000, something like that. Most of the bill, though, was to be decided. No one knew how to make this work. They just knew that they wanted it to kind of sort of look like this. So the vast, vast majority was to be decided, to be decided. So since that time, there's been an additional 10,000 pages written on it. Since Thanksgiving of last year, there's been an additional 5,000 pages. And they're still trying to figure it out. The web page for the state of Washington has changed 3 times this week. I mean, completely changed. To the point that I came in this morning, I was going to go ahead and show it to everybody, and it's like, oh, it's different again. So I had to kind of figure out where everything was. So assuming that it's going to remain the same, I will show you how to actually do a little bit of work on there if it deems necessary. But the Affordable Care Act was passed, to help people with health care in this country. It has been slowly being implemented over the last 3 years. You may or may not have noticed it, but there's been a lot of things changed on health care that has been directly related to the ACA, or Affordable Health Care Act. With that said, obviously the biggest changes have been at the beginning of this month when all of the health plan finders or exchanges for the nation have come online in every single state. There's 37 states that have the federal exchange, and I think there's 12 states that have the statewide exchange, and then the other ones are kind of a combination. Washington is one of the ones that has a state-run health exchange. And so regardless of what happens in Washington, it doesn't matter. The state of Washington will move forward. It is financed, based completely in the state. It's a huge, unbelievable undertaking. This is such a massive system. It's almost hard to comprehend. But just in the state of Washington, hundreds of people have been hired. Companies have been started, and private enterprise, hundreds of people have been hired and companies have been started to help people with the actual health plan finder, which is the name of the exchange in the state of Washington. The idea is that starting January 1st, every man, woman, and child in this country has to have health care. Well, that's probably not a bad thing to say. Unfortunately, it's got to be paid for. And some people will be paying more than others. Some people will be paying less than others. It is entirely dependent on your income. So long as you are 400% of the poverty level or less, you can go to the exchange if you want and actually possibly get some tax premiums or some financial aid with your health care. If you're over 400%, you can go in there, but you're not going to get anything, so there's probably just no reason to do it. There are 2 types of individuals that are out there that can help you with that scenario and with that process. There's a new position or a new person is called a navigator. And you probably have heard about these people. They're the ones in the newspapers. They've been talking about. The navigators are the ones that will be able to help you in the exchange. You can do it yourself. If you go to the Washington State website, and I'll show you here in a couple of minutes how to do that, you can do all this yourself if you want to. You can go to the exchange, find out what your premium subsidy will be if you're going to get one. You can find out what it costs. You can do everything yourself. If you don't want to do it yourself, you can call the 800 number, and someone from up in Spokane will help you. Or you can find a navigator that will help you do that also. Navigators can do nothing more than exactly what their title says. They can help you navigate the website. They can't recommend, they can't really talk to you too much about your needs or anything. They can just help you navigate the website. There are insurance agents in town. I'm one of them. There's a few of us around, not a whole lot of us, but there's a few. We can do everything. Those people can work outside the exchange with the health insurance, just like we've always done. We can also work with people inside the exchange. We can actually help you recommend and do things like that. So there's two types of individuals that can help you do that. Or again, you can do it yourself. You really, really can. 400% of the poverty, what that looks like is for an individual that's anything over about $45,000 a year. For a couple, it's $62,000. For 3 people, it's $73,000. And for a family of 4, it's $94,000. And for a family of 5, it's $112,000. And it goes up from there. Actually, it goes up in increments of about, I think, a little bit over $4,000, something like that. I've got the figures, but can't get them in my head right now. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. What that is, it's actually gross. However, what they're looking for is W-2 wages. So for most people that are employed, that's whatever your W-2 wages are going to be for the year. And it is for a household, not for the individual. So again, $62,000 a year for a couple. Okay? If you're self-employed, that's a whole different matter. Actually, it's interesting because I've been asking this question for a year and a half of the insurance companies and everybody involved. And when I first started asking the question, all I got was blank stares. I said, wait a minute, you can't take the gross income of a self-employed person. That's not their true income. I mean, that has nothing to do with their true income. They've got all kinds of expenses that everyone else doesn't have. So how are you going to do that? Well, at the time, nobody knew. And fortunately, they came out, and I think they've probably done a pretty good job. They're actually going with your AGI, which is your adjusted gross income, line 37. It's the only thing that really makes sense. So it's going to be line 37, your AGI, plus any investment income. So that's the figure it's going to look like. Just to give you an idea, a friend of mine, she's been self-employed for a number of years. She's actually a massage therapist. She grossed about 45 last year. No, I'm sorry, 38. I'm getting some of my people confused. About 38,000, but her AGI was 16.7. Well, she hasn't had health insurance in 20 years because she really couldn't afford it. So I did a real quick calculation and I said, how's $50 a month sound? And she's 60 years old. And she goes, what? Well, that was really great news for her. This system is designed for people that honestly couldn't afford it before. I've also seen some people that their premiums have gone up substantially, but they are people that are above that 400% line. So if it's people that are more my age and your income is modest, you'll probably get some assistance and or you'll probably either get a better health plan and or less premium. For the younger people, might not work out quite so well. Now granted, it's all going to be age-based, so younger people are going to pay less than me, but they may or may not get any help with the premium or a subsidy of any sort. So, with that said, there's so many different variables. All of the plans with the ACA have been standardized to some extent. From January 1st on, everything you've known about health insurance plans, at least individuals, and soon to be groups, is going out the window. They will not look like anything you have ever seen before. In fact, people have asked me, how can you compare? And you really can't. They are so drastically different. Moving forward, there will be essentially 4 different plans for each company, and they'll be called the metal plans. You'll hear this from now for probably eternity, maybe, who knows. But you'll have a bronze plan, you'll have a silver plan, you'll have a gold plan, you'll have a platinum plan. The way they figure all these is the bronze plan is good for, and they look at these actuarially. So if you've ever known an actuarial, somebody that does an actuary, there's somebody that has horn-rimmed glasses that has a piece of tape here. They sit in a corner office. So I don't know how they work, but they do things different. And there's no real way to explain how they do things. But actuarially, a bronze plan will cover 60% of all of your needs. A silver plan will cover 70, gold will cover 80, and platinum will cover 90. Okay? If you go to the exchange to get a subsidy, your subsidy will be based on the silver plan. Okay? So that's about 70% actuarial. Depending on the subsidy that you get, you can take that subsidy and use it for that silver plan, or you can take that subsidy and use it on a bronze plan and pay significantly less. The person I was just talking about, her subsidy was, I don't have it in my mind, but the bottom line is her premium was $50 for a silver plan. If she took her subsidy and used it for a bronze plan, she would pay nothing. And in fact, she was at the point, she was at, like I said, $16,700, which is under 250% of the poverty level. So let me just finish this thought, thank you. Please hold on to it though. If you're under 250% of the poverty level, you actually also can get help with deductibles and with co-pays. Yeah?
What is the economy of the Obamacare, Medicare, where
Nothing.
Repeat the question.
Nothing.
Repeat
Yeah.
the question, please.
No, it's fine. Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the church.
Repeat the question.
Okay, yeah, he said, what does Obamacare and health have anything to do with the church? And the answer is nothing. It's just, this is a public service announcement for people that most people have no idea what's going on. So since it's Healing Sunday, we're starting the service out talking about this kind of stuff because it's going to affect everybody. I mean, everybody has to have health insurance starting January 1st. Or you have a penalty. They don't like calling it a penalty, but it is. And the way that works is that if you don't have health insurance for at least 9 months out of the year, you will have a penalty to pay. The first year it's $95 or 1% of your income, whichever is higher, plus I think it's about $47 or $48 for other people in your household, and again the 1%. Next year it goes up to goes up to 2% or $200. I'm getting some of my figures messed up. And then the following year it goes up to $395 or 2.5%. And I'll be real frank with you, all of a sudden I think I got my numbers a little bit messed up. The percentages are correct, the numbers are not quite correct. It's that snot, I just can't see through it.
Is that per person? So like if you were a family of 3, it'd be 95 per person?
No, it's actually be 95. That's for the household income producer. And then it's about half that per person after that. Actually, third year is $695. It's not $395, it's $695, and then half of that for each person after that. So for the first year, a lot of people, I can understand, may or may not choose to do that. And then what happens is at the end of the year, then if you do have a penalty and you have income coming back from the IRS, they will take it from you at that point. So they'll get it one way or another sooner or later. You will not be able to sign up at any time during the year you want. Right at the moment, this first year, the open enrollment started actually October 1st and will end March 31st. In years coming, the open enrollment will start, I think it's going to coincide with Medicare, so it should be October 15th through December 7th, because I do Medicare also. Wonderful putting those two things together. But the only way to get health insurance during the year, if you need it, is to have what's called a qualifying event. So in other words, lose your job, lose your benefits, marriage, different things like that. Those are all qualifying events, and you can do things at that time. But otherwise, you will not be able to. I know I'm throwing out all kinds of facts and information right now, and I think I probably covered the real highlights. Yes, Gene?
You know who audits the paperwork that's sent in and administrative?
To answer that simply, if you're on the exchange and you sign up, you get a password, you've got your account in there, and you're getting everything ready. By the way, the feds want your money up front, so you got to pay for it there. And once you hit the go button, it goes to 6 federal agencies for approval. Homeland Security, the IRS, Department of Labor, Medicare, Health and Human Services. Forgot one. I do it almost every time. There's one more, and I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I forget a different one every single time. But that's all supposed to come back and approve your application within about 2 seconds. So that hasn't worked out real well this week, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But as you can see, it's an unbelievable undertaking, just a huge, huge undertaking. So it's what this country is going to look like going forward unless something truly, truly unforeseen happens. And again, I'm not here to discuss any of that kind of stuff, just to try to get you to understand what's happening, because this is a huge change for this country, and can be a huge, huge change for you individually too. But certainly you know people that will be affected by it, even if you're not. Mm-hmm.
Are doctors going to be compelled to accept your insurance?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, there won't be any problem with the doctors. It's the same health insurance companies we've always had. We'll have, there's something else I need to talk about. There'll be the Primeras, the Blue, LifeWise, Group Health. Actually, Assurus will not be in this area. It's a long story, but they had to start a new company called BridgeSpan. So if you see BridgeSpan, that's actually Assurus. It gets very confusing. I'm not going to go into all that, but the interesting thing is I started talking about the plans being these metal plans from company to company. Well, the reason they did that is to make it simple and easy for everybody to figure out. They can go to this company and look at a bronze plan, then go to this company and look at a bronze plan and compare them and everything. Well, the problem is they're almost identical. I mean, they are so identical, there's nothing to compare. The prices are so identical, there's nothing to compare. A few dollars difference between the companies. So, how do you make a choice? Well, you look at the networks that they cover. Some of the plans will cover Cadillac, some of them will cover KGH, and none of them will cover Lords. So, yeah, Lords is not in anybody's network that I know of. Could be in some of the group plans, like United Healthcare and such, they're still in the network. But in the other plans for the individuals, they are not in the network at all. So those are some of the choices that are going to have to be made. Hopefully that will change in the future, but right at the moment, Group Health has Cadillac, and Primera and LifeWise have KGH. So we'll see what happens there. Also, one more thing. Also, if you do go to the exchange, in this area, there is only one choice, and that's Group Health. We still don't know if that's going to change or not. But right at the moment, the only thing that's been approved by the insurance commissioner for the exchange in this area is Group Health. And the only thing that's in there is their HMO. So not a great, it's a good choice. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has a different idea, but I know some people might want something different than Group Health. Personally, I think they're great. Yes?
For those who are working and covered under an employee-sponsored program,
Mm-hmm.
is there any impact?
Yes and no. Specifically, no. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone that has a group plan, and thanks for asking that, because I was going to start to talk about just briefly about that too. If you've got a group plan right now and your company is offering health insurance, it may or may not affect you. Large businesses, 50 or over, probably going to have very, very little impact at this point. The plans you're going to have going forward will be a little bit different. How they're different depends on what you've currently got. If you're a small employer, this is where it gets a little bit sticky, and this is where I've been talking with some of my employers, because it's a thing that the employers have to understand, because the way it is right now, if you've got a small employer and they are covering you, if it is deemed affordable, so in other words, if it's actually 9.5% or less of your gross income, the premium, it's considered affordable. If it's more than that, it's not considered affordable. But if your employer is offering group coverage, in going forward, they have to offer dependent coverage also. They have to. Doesn't mean you have to take it, and it doesn't mean it has to be affordable. It's a kind of a fine line. It's something we're wrestling with right now. If they offer coverage and you want to go to the exchange, you can't. If they are not offering coverage, then you can go to the exchange and you'll be fine. But this is one of the things that the employers were not aware of. No one was quite aware of this little issue until the last few months. So we're trying to talk to the employers and just talk to them frankly. In fact, what I'm doing right now with some of my employers is actually taking the income of the individual people in their groups and trying to figure out who would qualify, who wouldn't, so they can make a better decision on whether or not they're going to offer health insurance anymore. So it's an interesting situation. It doesn't have a great solution right at the moment. And certainly I can go a lot deeper into this kind of stuff, but yeah, this is probably as far as I want to go at this point. So if you have questions, certainly I'd be willing to answer some of them right now. I wanted to take about 3 or 4 minutes and just show you the health plan finder if you did want to go there. It's a little bit of an issue right now because if you want a broker, then you either go to a broker an agent, and they can help you go through everything, and obviously then they're going to be your agent. You can pick a broker on the website. Problem is, in this area, they've only got 4 people on there. And they're telling us it's going to take 3 to 6 or 7 weeks before they can get all of our names up there. Even though we did everything in plenty of time, this is one of the things that they haven't really gotten around to. So, one final thing. Since the subsidies are based on your income as of this year, you're making a little bit of a guess on what your income is going to be this year, especially if it's your AGI and you're self-employed. If you discover at the beginning of next year that your income has changed, or maybe you're going to get a promotion in the future and your income is going to drastically change, it means your subsidy is going to change somewhat. So you need to go back into the exchange and find out if the difference in your income is going to affect your subsidy. And if it is, you might want to adjust your subsidy. It's either that or you might have to pay more at the end of the year. So it's a floating number. So you've got to be aware that you've got to go back in and make sure that that's updated if you've had an income change of some sort. So, a lot to hear about. Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we introduced this before we launched it, when we waited because we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Until the very end, and then you go look and you go, oh, I have questions. I have a little information now. Now I have questions. I didn't know. And
Yeah, this is just a high-end overview, but I think I've gotten enough information out there that either you're completely bewildered or you've got a pretty good basis on what's happened and what's going to happen in the future. So I'm going to take just a couple of minutes, show you the website. If it doesn't work out real well, we'll skip it and go forward, but we'll try it.